Morning, students. How's it going? Good to see you, I guess. Can I still say that? Usually I say that. It's good to see you, but I can't see you, and you can't see me. That's okay. So today I just want to go over 4 problems. They're from former Regents, and they all have to do with completing the square. The only thing that really changes from today to what we have been doing is now you're going to be, now it's going to be, you're going to be able to have roots that are irrational numbers, okay? So, but if you take a look at number 10 here, we're going to have to do what we were doing yesterday, which is put these things in simplest radical form, okay? All right, so we're going to start with number 10, then we're going to go backwards and do number 9, and then I can also go over 11 and 12, and I'm going to assign you guys some of these problems to do. There probably won't be a new video tomorrow unless you guys send me questions. Please send me questions. If you guys send me questions, I will gladly answer them, but there probably won't be a new video tomorrow. I'll probably just be the next 2 days of working on this. Okay? So, number 10. So completing the square, right? What do we say? X squared plus 4x minus 16 is equal to 0. The first thing we need to see is a equal to 1. A is equal to 1, right? There's no coefficient for this. We can continue, okay? Our next step was to move this number over to the other side, okay? And what we were going to do is we were going to rewrite this, but we were going to leave a nice amount of space here because we need a new C term. Okay. Sorry, I'm running sideways. I don't suppose we need the positive sign either. Okay. Again, what are we doing? Writing this. Oh my God, why is it every time? I love you, Smartboard. I love the Smartboard hounds me even when I'm not working. Okay. Equals 16. Okay. All right. So in order to find our new C term, what do we say we need to do? We need to take this number, our B term, divided by 2 and square it. So 4 divided by 2, I'll wait for you guys to say 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 2 squared, in other words, 2 times 2 is 4. So I'm going to add 4 here. I'm going to add 4 here. Okay? Flip this. So what do we got? We've got x squared plus 4x plus 4 is equal to 20, right? Now again, we need to write this. We now know this is a perfect square. Again, you should be pretty familiar with this one. We've seen it in a bunch of problems. But again, what are we going to do? We're say the square root of the first one, square root of x squared is x, the sign from the middle number, and the square root of the second one. So x plus 2 squared is equal to 20. Okay? Now, in order to get rid of the square root, we need to take, in order to get rid of the square, we need to take the square root of both sides. Okay? So we're going to say x plus 2, right, the square and the square root undo each other, is equal to the square root of 20. Right? We're going to subtract 2 from both sides. And like we said the other day, what we really need to do is we need to account for the positive and negative version of 20. So we're going to say negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 20. And then we're going to go to our answers and we're going to see that that's not there. Okay, now, first thing we see was negative 2, right? So right off the bat, that one's gone and that one's gone, right? So the question is, which one of the two of these is square root of 20? Now I'm going to show you guys the real math, okay, and then I'll show you guys how you're going to get around that if you forget, okay? So again, the square root of 20, what are our perfect squares that go into 20, okay? Well, 4 is a perfect square, right? Again, remember your perfect squares are 1, 4, 9, 16, and the next one's 25. So right there we can stop. We only need these numbers. Can't be 1, right? So it's either 4, 9, or 16. Right? So does 4 go into 20? Yes, it does. Square root of 4 times the square root of 5, and the square root of 4 you have to evaluate is 2. So the answer to this is 2. I'm sorry, 2. Where did my mouse go? I don't know where to go. Oh, there it goes. Is going to be every single time is equal to negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 2 radical 5. Now, let's say you were taking your Regents examination, because that's where I got these problems, and you did forget that for a second, that you didn't remember how to take, how to simplify a perfect square root. You forgot for a second how to do that. Like I just forgot how to talk. Well, you know it's the square root of 20, right? Well, you go to your calculator, you type it in, and you say, hey, what's the square root of 20? Right, and it's this, 4.47. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and you'll plug in 2 and 4, right? We had to narrow it down to those two. We'll say 2 radical 5, right? That was our answer. But if we go down here to our other possible answer, it was 4 radical 5. I'll say, all right, that's not the same number, right? So you can get around this sometimes, but you're going to see from some of the problems that I'm assigning you guys, sometimes it literally just says, hey, solve by completing the square. It's an open-ended question that you'll see on part 2, 3, or 4. So for now, that's good. It's a good way to make sure you got the right answer. But, you know, we should really know how to do this skill anyway. We do that, I think, in the 8th grade. So, all right. So, number 9. Okay, there's a reason we're going kind of backwards on number 9. So, we said kind of, and this is the first time we've actually seen this, that there's a little unwritten rule that a has to equal 1, right? So in this one, if you'll notice, 2x squared minus 12x plus 6 is equal to 0. Now this is, other than the perfect square, probably the hardest type of problem they can give you. Now the first thing you need to realize is that a does not equal 1. A is equal to 2. So that's no good, right? So the first thing you need to do is you need to go ahead and you need to factor out a 2. So we'll say 2, divide that by 2, divide this by 2, divide this by 2. Okay? Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to subtract 3 from both sides. You kind of can't do that, okay? You can't just subtract a 3 out of it because it's not really a 3 that's by itself. It's over here. So, what else could we do? What if, right from the get-go, before we even got into this form, because that's what we have been doing for other problems, what if we went ahead and, what if we just moved that 6 right off the bat? What if we went ahead and we moved this 6 right off the bat? Well, now I've got 2x squared minus 12x is equal to negative 6. And now rather than factor out a 2, I can actually just go ahead and divide both sides by 2. And what are we going to say? X squared minus 6x is equal to negative 3, right? And now we can go ahead and we can solve by completing the square, okay? So again, what's going to have to get added here? Well, negative 6 divided by 2 squared. Well, negative 6 divided by 2 is 3. And 3 squared is negative 3, but it doesn't matter, is 9. So I'm going to add 9 here. I'm going to add 9 here. And all of a sudden, you're going to see negative 3 plus 9 is going to be 6, which, again, if you take a look at your answers, is the only possible thing. Now, there are some other ways to do this problem, because I know this is probably not the one that most of you guys want to be seeing, but honestly, as long as you remember to subtract 6 and you understand how to divide, you should be okay. But there are some other ways I'm going to show you guys as we get closer to Regents time, some tricks of the trade on how we can get around doing this problem. Okay, so stay tuned for that. All right. So again, I'm just going to go over 11 and 12 and leave you guys to it. Okay. Number 11, what are the solutions to this equation? Okay. So again, back to basics. This is what most of your problems will look like. Okay. X squared minus 8x is equal to 10. Well, they were nice enough. They moved the 10 over there for you, right? So let's go ahead. Let's say negative 8 divided by 2 squared. Well, negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. And negative 4 squared is going to be 16, right? So if we're going to add 16 here, I'm going to add 16 here. I've got x squared minus 8x plus 16 is equal to 26. And again, how do we write this in factored form? Again, square root of the first one, sine of the middle one, square root of the second one. Okay, let's take the square root of both sides to get rid of the square. We're going to have x minus 4 is equal to the square root of 26. Let's add 4. And let's go ahead and just make sure that we account for the positive and negative answer, right? So 4, positive 4, plus or minus 26. Okay, it's plus or minus things that become part of your kind of normal language. Now, that is in simplest radical form. We can't simplify square root of 26 any further. That's it. There are no perfect squares that go into 26 again, right? So again, going through your perfect squares, 1 does, but it doesn't really help us. 4 doesn't go into 26, 9 doesn't go into 26, 16 doesn't go into 26, 25 doesn't go into 26, so you can stop right there, okay? So again, what is this 4 plus or minus the square root of 26, okay? Good, and our last one, I'll leave you guys to it. I'm actually going to leave some of this up here because it's almost the exact same problem, okay? If you take a look at it, they gave you the same numbers, right? So is equal to 24 this time. So again, what are we going to say? Negative 8 divided by 2 squared, same thing as the last one. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4, and negative 4 squared is going to be 16. So if I'm adding 16 here, I'm adding 16 here. X squared minus 8x plus 16 is equal to, well, 24, and 16 is going to be 40 where I come from. What do we got? Square root of the first one, sine of the second one, square root of the third one. And that's going to be equal to 40. I'm going to have to take the square root of both sides. X minus 4 is equal to the square root of 40. We're going to add 4. I'll find out that x is equal to 4 plus or minus the square root of 40. And now the question is, which one of these is the square root of 40? So let's find out. So the square root of 40 is that. So let's try it. Is that 2 times radical 10? Yes, it is, right? So one of these has to be our answers, the 2 radical 10, right? 2 times radical 2, much smaller number. Okay, so no good, right? So we know that the square root of 40 is the same as 2 radical 10. I'll show you guys how to do it in a second. And we know that the 4 we got was positive. So we are knowing that this is this one right here. Okay, again, what's your perfect square that goes in the 40? Well, again, it's 4. Square root of 4 times the square root of 10. Square root of 4 is 2. Radical 10. Okay, so what's x equal to? It's equal to 4 plus or minus 2 radical 10. Like I said, for now, if you need to get around doing this part, you really should know how to do this, but if you can't, there's going to be a way around, okay? So anyway, I'm going to give you guys some questions too, probably for today and tomorrow, and I need you guys to send me some questions if you have them, okay? I know this is not the best way to go over this stuff. I would much rather be with you guys, seeing what you guys are doing, speaking to you guys in person, you know, having fun. Living in my office for the last 2 weeks has not been an enjoyable experience for me. I'm sure watching these videos is not an enjoyable experience for you, but listen, it's what we got to do right now. So please send questions if you have them. I will answer them to the best of my ability. Try and be specific as possible. But if your question is literally, I don't get it, I can go over some more, and I'll try and go a little bit slower. Okay. But anyway, we'll figure this out together. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.